What's new, 802? I'm Becca Hammond, and you're listening to Vermont Talks. Vermont Talks may include graphic or explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Vermont Talks. It's episode 50. Woo! I am here with Raph and Tim from Evil Bong. Not here today is Steven, who is a vocalist, and Toby, who's on drums.
That's right.
For Evil Bong. They are both also in Lungbuster with Rick, who is not here. What's Rick do?
He plays guitar.
Cool.
Shreds the six string.
Nice.
We actually play totally different instruments in Lungbuster than we do in Evil Bong.
What do you play? Oh, hold on. Let me finish. And also, both Raph and Tim are involved in OnlyBands Records, which is new?
Correct.
First release was the Sudden Unknown Signal album, Missy, and that was October 2023.
Cool.
So a little over a year ago.
Cool. Okay. All right. Awesome. Let's get into Evil Bong. What do you both do in Evil Bong?
So I play the bass, and I also do vocals with Steven, right? Because he does more like the clean vocals, and then I'll do what's called like the harsh vocals, like dirt, yelling into the mic. And then Tim plays guitar.
Yep.
And is the primary songwriter for the project.
Well, I write the instrumental stuff mostly, at least.
Well, that's still writing. It still counts. And I meant to mention, Evil Bong is listed as stoner metal about wizards and weed. Would you like to elaborate on the sound or the genre of the band?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of people think heavy metal. They think really fast, aggressive music. And we do some stuff that's pretty fast, but for the most part, we like to keep it real slow, laid back. We tune our instruments way down, and we just play riffs, Definitely following in the vein of Black Sabbath, going way back. There's been so many great bands since then that have really, developed and defined the genre. And I think right now the scene is like stronger than ever in terms of the music that's being made. I've, since we've started this project, I've had just such an amazing time.
It's very, I don't know what to call it exactly, if guttural is the right word. It's very low.
Yeah.
Like really low metal.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very good. I very much dig the vibe. I love metal myself, but it's different than a lot of stuff you hear around town. And everyone has such specific lines that they draw around metal.
Yeah,
that you don't want to call the wrong band a metal band down, because they will not like that. They're like hardcore band or something like that. And I miss the lines exactly, so it makes me happy that you're just like, yeah, it's metal. Okay.
Yep.
Because I feel like it could almost fall under not black metal, but there's another genre.
Doom metal.
Doom metal,
yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
very, very low, very low.
Stoner doom, stoner sludge.
That's 100% the vein.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
100% the vein that we're in.
It's very cool. So when did the actual band start, Evil Bong? I know you guys have played together and probably jammed for a long time, but this project, when did this one start?
I feel like Tim had the idea about maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
And did a lot of it like conceptualizing on his own, and then during that time was kind of sending out feelers and stuff. This was before he really had like a name and everything, just kind of riffs and little ideas.
Yep.
And then, I'll let him talk about it, but I guess somehow he was talking to Steven about like the Wizard and the Evil Bong stuff, and Steven was like, about the movies, right? And then that sort of just like sparked the whole thing, because there's like the crappy B movies, Evil Bong. They made like 10 or something.
I discovered this.
Whatever you call it, the cult classics.
I know exactly what you mean.
Right. So, and then that just kind of sent it into overdrive. And then at that time, him, Steven, and Toby were in another band, so that became the basically like the bones for it. And then Tim knew that was kind of right up my alley with the Stoner Doom thing. Totally. Because we started playing in that project first before I invited him to be in Lungbuster. because aside from that he runs like a recording studio as a business. So in the process of recording our songs, we just kind of decided that like, hey, why don't you go play in Lungbuster too? You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like when you're there in the moment, this is just a melting pot of a lot of different things. But between the movies and like what we were already doing. You know what I'm saying? And then ripping a lot of bongs, of course. It all just formulated into a sonic stew of like heavy proportions,
Right.
And these guys are heavy into the like Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing. So they got the whole fantasy aspect as far as like the lyrical content and just the lore, so to say, of the band and the fictional
it goes
story.
So well with the Evil Bong concept. See, I didn't know the movies existed until today when I was looking for your band, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to watch these.
Yeah, no, they put me on too. I didn't know before either.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know until, we had already been playing for a little bit and didn't really have a name for the project. And then I started writing this song about the evil wizard's bong.
Nice.
And that later that day, Steven came by the studio and I was telling him about it. And I had this whole story and stuff. And he was like, well, you know about Evil Bong, right? I was like, well, no. And I, went online and I read a synopsis of the plot. And I was like, dude, somehow this other guy like came up with the same idea for Evil Bong like 20 years before I did.
Weird.
Like that's and I was like, I mean, Evil Bong is the greatest band name I've ever heard. Like,
Yes.
If I saw Evil Bong on a flyer, I'd be like, well, yeah, I'm going to that.
It sells itself.
Right.
It sells itself.
Yeah.
So have you done any live shows yet?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I saw there was a YouTube video in New York.
New Hampshire, probably.
Hampshire,
yeah,
that was it,
Feathered
okay.
Friend Brewing. Yeah, that was a really fun show.
Cool.
Yeah, we did a like week-long New England tour last summer, and we've played a whole lot. Well, I don't know a whole lot, but a good number of times locally. Despacito. We played Metronome. We played Drink. Pretty much anywhere that books metal these days.
Yeah, right.
Kind of slimming down, so a lot of the times it brings us out of town.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, especially recently. With the Monkey House not booking heavy music anymore, that was a real hit.
Yeah.
To us.
The heavy scene in general.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yep. So, we're playing shows basically everywhere we can.
Right.
But if the more you spread out of Vermont, though, especially in the Northeast, there is an audience for what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
People
definitely.
show up, sometimes even more than locally, and, they're hungry for it. So we love hitting the road as much as possible.
Yep.
Yeah. No, there's a strong metal scene in the whole Northeast area. Boston's kind of got one of those weirdly legendary, I heard about it when I was a kid, kind of music scenes that very much respects the metal.
100%.
Connecticut
and
as well.
nowadays, too, with the whole pot thing, I mean, the stoner metal is very strong in Boston specifically. There's a huge stoner metal scene out there, very well received every time we play out there. So that's definitely one of our favorite places to go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And like you mentioned, Connecticut too, always well received in Connecticut.
Yep.
So we love to go there too.
Plattsburgh as well. We've played in Plattsburgh.
Plattsburgh never disappoints.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you've
Plattsburgh's
ever
always
been to any of those bars out there, but they never disappoint for the metal shows.
Really not. I know the Monopole is very well loved.
Sure.
I
Yep.
just have
Peabody's.
Yep, Peabody's. Yeah.
Cool.
Some good stuff, man. So yeah, man, and then it definitely helps too to have like a solid concept, so that we can just show up and completely immerse people in the vibe, like in the atmosphere
Yeah. Oh, no,
of the story. You know
the
what I'm saying?
concept's really cool because it immediately evokes like Gwar or like some theatrical something.
For sure, it's very theatrical.
Yeah,
We're trying to
right.
figure out how to.
Oh,
up the
someone's
stage
got to
pres-
dress
like
as a
the-
wizard.
Right, yeah,
like
we're trying to up
obvious.
that.
Like, come on.
Sometimes Steven does.
Steven does.
And a
occasionally.
really big bong.
Yeah, Cypress Hill style. I did bring a regular sized bong one time.
Raph plays the bass with a bong on
Sometimes.
stage.
Nice, like a slide.
Full disclosure, there's no water in it. It's just an empty, bong. But it's for visual aspect, it looks cool. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Hey,
Big
it
old
smells
bong.
better.
It does. It does. Yeah, and then sometimes Steven has this cool robe with a hood on it that he wears for local gigs. But yeah, we're trying to get the stage antics
Right.
together,
right.
so
I
maybe
can
we'll,
see it. I could definitely see it. You could do all sorts of things.
Oh, yeah.
Someone needs a staff, the crystal
Yep.
ball,
Yep.
I like your style.
Yeah, see, I'm
We might have to,
envisioning.
we might have to get you in on some of the process here, some of the brainstorming.
So cool. So, do you have any upcoming shows for Evil Bong planned, or are you working on recording? Like anything cool
little bit of
going
both.
on?
We got a lot of cool going on. So in February, over at Despacito, like what we were mentioning, our good buddy Scott Gray is hosting a show. And, honestly, if it wasn't for Scott Gray, I don't think a lot of the heavy music around here would be going on.
It's true.
You know what I mean? By February 22nd, it's a Saturday. And we're playing with this band, Sons of Arrakis from Canada.
I love the name.
Yeah, no, they're dope. They're a
amazing.
bunch of Dune freaks. And
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
incredible.
yeah, they're Dune freaks, and they play this fuzzed out sci-fi rock and roll, and we're the opening act.
Awesome.
So we're stoked to play on that.
Yes.
And then
good pair up.
Yeah.
that's right now the only gig that's confirmed, because we're also working on recording our next release, right? Because we have the one song out on Spotify and all that other stuff, but we
Yes.
have another song in the works that we're going to be recording soon. And so, between the recording process and that one show, that's kind of what we got on the plate right now. Just because we don't want to bite off more than we can chew. We want to make sure that the quality is there more than anything.
Oh, yeah. No, that first record. That's why I was a little shocked that I hadn't seen the YouTube video. I literally found it just before I drove here. So I haven't watched you guys play live yet, but I was kind of like, whoa, this is like really high quality
Thank
for
you.
like
That's
the
a 10,
first
man.
single to drop. So I was
I'm telling
excited to
you.
come talk to you guys.
We're lucky to have linked up with this guy because he's an audio wizard. He's got a lot of experience. He's got the good tools and he knows how to use them. And that is definitely to our advantage because, sometimes in doom metal is not a lot of like high quality sound and stuff.
right.
And you can get away with it, but it definitely helps set you apart, especially for your first release. And I got to give a shout out to Eric, New Hampshire. It's ARRICK, New Hampshire. He has a YouTube page where he posts like all these live sets of bands. He has a camera that has a
I think
HD
that's
camera and stuff.
exactly the
Yeah.
link I'm going to include on your
Oh,
show
sweet.
notes
Thank you.
page.
Nice.
Yeah, I gotta
Because I
give
thought
him
that
love.
was pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Because
Definitely
he
big
also
shout out
shared,
to him.
oh yeah, man, because he shared Lungbuster as well when we played at the Stone Church. So we got a lot of love for our YouTube
He's got
guys.
a bunch of just great videos. I watch his channel,
Right?
Yeah.
He's got some big bands on there, so
yeah.
to be included in that is pretty sick.
Yeah, definitely.
Solid. Very solid. I can feel the D&D vibes.
Yeah. Well, and Steven is really, he's the dungeon master,
He's got a brain that just fires off. Like if he gets stoked at an idea, it just like it's almost like a chat GPT or something. He's just and then like the idea just expands huge, and he's got all these crazy things going on. So the lore just creates itself right in front of your face. Like it's cool.
Oh, yeah. No,
Dude's
it's
very
amazing.
creative and
Yeah.
hilarious. He's a goofball.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Right.
Big time.
He's a goofball.
I feel what you're saying about the like theme and message. It gives you so much to play with without having to like, I don't know. So many bands are like, I'm pulling from my own life and my heartbreak, and here's the same
totally.
rock song
There's
that has
enough of
been
that, There's a lot of that
1,000
already.
times.
These guys are wicked into video games too, so it kind of lends itself to that sort of thing. We're pulling from a lot of different inspirations, right? Like you could even call it unconventional, I guess, because just different stuff. Like we're pulling from our lives, but different aspects of our lives. Like these guys are wicked into video games and fantasy and D&D and stuff. I'm wicked into stoner metal. Like, not that they aren't, but, I'm wicked into stoner metal and ripping bongs and this and that and, like, yelling into a mic like I just gargled some bong water. You know what I'm saying? So I love doing that. And basically, like this guy, for instance, he has a lot of influences from electronic music. You wouldn't even think, right? You know what I'm saying? But the electronic music influence definitely is present there, and we apply it in a creative way that translates into, like, the doom. you know what I'm saying, there's like some jazz influence in there and some hip hop. Like for instance, our drummer Toby, he's a hip hop like beat producer.
Cool.
And so when he's looking at rhythms and stuff like that, like he's coming at it from a different perspective and it translates into the music very well. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a culmination of a bunch of different aspects that maybe you wouldn't necessarily expect, but they really come together in a dope way. And that's what makes it fun. It makes it fresh. And like you said, the material writes itself because it's not derivative or boring. You know what I'm saying? And the world is our oyster, really.
Yeah.
Right. No, I love this idea. I love theatrical bands. I think this is really cool. I think you've got a great sound already starting.
Oh, thanks.
I appreciate that.
You know, I'm coming from, you know, I grew up in the classical music world.
That too.
And,
yep.
and
I meant to say that. Yep.
Writing, you know, a lot of chamber music, orchestra music, vocal music, you know, all that stuff. And I went to school for that. And at a certain point, I was kind of done with like serious music, and I felt like there was too much of it. And it was all, as one of my teachers said, it was all doom and gloom, which is funny because now I'm in a doom metal band, but it's
silly though. It's like campy.
It's campy, very lighthearted. I always loved like, you know, super violent old, you know, B horror movies, just super over the top and you know, super tongue in cheek kind of. And
Right.
I always
parody
loved,
like
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
I always
right.
loved that side of metal that was like very kind of over the top. I mean, like glam, you know,
Right.
or like
Right.
but self-aware, you know, and kind of laughing at itself and not taking
Right.
itself seriously.
Intentional. Like Evil Dead.
Yeah,
second
exactly.
one.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The first one, they tried to make it serious. The second one, they were like, nah.
They knew.
Yeah.
This is more fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you get all of Evil Dead 1 in the first 15 minutes of Evil Dead 2, and then you just have the best movie ever. Everybody always talks about Army of Darkness, and like, no hate to Army of Darkness. It's great. But
Right.
like, Evil Dead 2 is maybe the greatest horror movie of all time.
So beautiful.
You know.
I have a lot of love for
It's one
Bruce
of those
Campbell.
classics that's just cemented in the
Yeah.
books.
It's right up there
Right.
with Evil Bong 3.
Yeah, Evil Bong 3 is a pretty good one.
Well, that's what it is. Watching, when I think of Evil Dead, I could feel like a back metal like track
Yeah,
to it that's
sure.
not there. Like, when you're talking about the campy metal, it's like, that's what that movie is missing.
Oh, totally.
Like that vibe combined with the music.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
I wish there was more examples of it, because I'm trying to think of examples, because Gwar is not the right example. Gwar is very theatrical, but I don't love their music. Like, I can't Gwar without being at Gwar. I really love going to a
Yeah,
Gwar
I get
show,
that.
but I'm not like, I'm going to listen to the next Gwar
Sure,
single.
yeah, I get
Like,
that.
this is,
Sure.
they're okay, but they're more fun to watch than anything. Yeah.
I'd
So
say
do you have
definitely Castle Rat is kind of holding the torch right now for
Yeah.
theatrical doom bands. They have like a whole show that involves props and costumes and monologues and stuff. But then they also have some doom and riffage too. So it's kind of like, yeah, Castle Rat I think is the main
Yep.
non-Gwar band doing that right now that I can think
Yep.
of.
Definitely. I would say Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats.
Yeah, Uncle
does
Acid
some,
as well.
like, you
They're
know,
pretty
less
cool.
so, but like they got, I mean, they're incredible.
Yeah, I saw
but,
them
you know,
in
they got
Brooklyn.
some
They were great.
costumes and stuff, and if not costumes, some like cool outfits or whatever. I
Right,
don't know,
right.
you know. But Castle Rat, you're right.
They have
really,
huge projections.
cool?
Projections, I think, are a great element. We've tried to incorporate that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, now
Sometimes.
you can not. Well, that's the thing. Everything costs money, right? But now with those little portable, rechargeable projectors,
Yep.
I feel like I wish bands could start doing that more. That's it. I can't tell the bands to be like, go spend $200 on
Yeah,
this
no,
thing that doesn't even
exactly.
make music.
Yeah,
It's
well, we
purely
gotta
just
start
artsy.
getting paid for.
Yeah, but the vibe is important, right? It's like the visual aspect
Yeah.
goes a long way.
That's it. People will come out to the shows and not to call it a gimmick, but just something a
Oh, no,
little
you
on
gotta have a
extra,
gimmick.
right?
Sure.
Right.
Helps you stand out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with a gimmick as long as you know the gimmick isn't your whole thing.
Yes.
Right, if it's like your
Right.
crutch, yeah.
Right. If you got solid music with something fun to watch, that's bread and butter, right? Like then you're just
100%.
gonna have a lot of people wanting to come to your shows. It's interesting. This is interesting. I have all these ideas and dreams now. I've always had this concept. This is very
Come by
random.
the studio, we'll shoot the shit and brainstorm.
Yeah,
you know?
seriously, it'd be fun. I've always had this funny
love the
concept
listener
of
input.
just like metal bands doing over the top shit.
Yeah.
And there was
Oh,
always
yeah.
this stupid thing I wanted to do with like dark angel wings.
Yeah.
I found with that.
Yeah.
Right? It just sounds funny. And I've been
It
thinking
is.
about that for like 10 years.
I can see
That'd
Steven
be
rocking some
funny.
wings.
Oh,
right.
for sure.
Like you could do, and I love the Evil Bong idea because you guys, for an entire album, you could do some theme for that whole thing and play the entire thing live,
sure.
Oh,
right?
It's coming.
Right.
Oh yeah,
Really
no,
cool.
all of our songs are part of one big overarching story.
Nice.
And so yeah, the next song that we're recording is coming up on, 25, 30 minutes long.
Oh, nice.
And it's kind of
Pretty lofty.
episode 1
Pretty
right.
lofty.
Right.
of the whole story. Yeah, kind of, I'm coming from the classical world and a lot of it is about kind of taking small ideas and looking at them from every different angle possible. And so as I, live with these ideas, some of them for, 2-3 years at this point, you see them from more angles. And so what, are you going to write something else that's looking at this same thing from another angle? And
Right.
and it's about picking which of those angles are special. Right?
Yeah.
You don't know till you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you got to mess around with it and experiment to really figure out what actually works.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't assume it's going to work.
Yep.
It might not work.
I was going to say also with the theatrical element, shout out to Hobo Wizard band from
Those
New
guys
Hampshire.
put on a great show.
One of my absolute favorite live shows.
They're on our label as well.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. We're going to be doing a record sometime in the next 6 weeks.
Very cool.
So, yeah, I'm really excited for that. But
Yeah.
they play with a big trash can on stage with a fog machine in it and lights.
Like
and
an old
everything.
school, like steel circle and
right,
like
right.
with the hobo
Like,
fires.
Right.
Yeah.
Hobo fire,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, it's great.
He like throws his guitar in it and shit.
Yeah.
They have a smoke machine that like emits smoke from it and like little glowing shit to make it look like there's a fire in there.
Right. Well, hey, the hobo's got to stay warm.
Right? Yeah, they have
Yeah.
cool shit that they drape over their equipment. Sometimes they even put their merch as a part of their equipment, so it's like visually cool and an efficient way to put the merch out there. Sometimes they'll play these like old timey bum country songs like while they're tearing down or setting up. It's like they got the vibe.
Oh, yeah.
And they're the nicest
yeah.
dudes. They're funny on stage.
yeah.
Like it's perfect.
Cool.
And the riffs are slamming. Like
And they're brothers to boot.
they're actual biological brothers.
Actual brothers.
Nice. Very cool. So we should talk a little bit about Lungbuster,
Yeah.
or I will keep talking about theatrical metal ideas this entire time. So, Lungbuster with Rick, who is not here. Tell me about this one. When did this one start? What's it sound like?
Okay, so this one is a little more like, I guess you could call sludge. It's like a little heavier, thicker, darker.
Yep.
Not as campy. It's a little more gritty. And the whole thing is an idea that I've been developing from quite some time because it really started as Lungbuster in like 2019.
That's a long time ago now. That's
Well,
impressive.
But it stems from the ashes of a band that it was prior to that, Smokestack Lightning, which started in 2014. So really, it's been cooking for a long time. But, basically in about 2000, like the winter of 2018, when my band kind of like fizzled out, and it was time to start, fresh, but I still had all these ideas and something like, I wanted to continue making Doom, but I didn't want to like use the same name and piss people off because it's like, oh, I'm doing this without you type thing.
Right.
So
Right.
then I switched it from Smokestack Lightning to Lungbuster. And then I sat on these riffs for a while, didn't really know what to do with them. Fast forward to when I was living with my buddy Adam Dean, who was a prominent bandmate of mine for a long time. And when we lived together, that's when the reality came together. It was more than just my song ideas, The history of my bands have always included like changing lineups. I've always had people coming in and out, changing lineups, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, in and out, blah, 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 this and that and the other. But we do Lungbuster.
That's how bands
And,
go.
like, you know, right? So during COVID, we got some raw demos together and this and that and the other. Started doing shows, blah, blah, blah. But I've always had a vision. I've always been a very, like, driven type of person. So I like to see it through, even if it takes years.
Yep.
And so the more I develop, the more this and that and blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to, like, you know, Tim puts out this feeler about trying to hire, you know, it's like, hey, I want to record something else that's not a jam band, you know.
Right.
I'll record you for free, like, come through. And Adam, you know, I got to give props to Adam because I didn't even see Tim put this out. And even if I did see Tim put that out, I probably would have been like, he's probably not looking for it. Because I already knew Tim was in an indie band. I was like, he's probably not looking for heavy shit like that. Like, you know, we do some real heavy shit, not really the common thing, blah, blah, blah. I would have just not even given it a chance. And I didn't even see it. But Adam was just kind of like, free recording, let's go, you know. And so he did it. And, you know, this is why you don't assume, because Tim ended up being way bigger fan of doom and heavy metal and hardcore, way bigger fan than I ever thought and would have imagined. So I was definitely wrong about that. And he had a great time recording our album, which we were in a different band called Komodo at the same time. We always doing
yeah, I remember.
always
that
doing
one.
different shit all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, this is my songwriting, this is his songwriting. So we're recording Adam's record for Komodo, and that's how we got involved with Tim's studio, you know. And then, you know, as we're in the studio often and you know, we just this and that, blah, blah, he ends up learning the songs for the projects, this and that, blah, blah. And then that's how Tim got involved with Lungbuster, because it was just, we were there, you know.
Yeah.
And he expressed interest in it.
You know, I think that's an important thing to talk about, is like a big part about, like, for people who want to like start a band or like join a band or whatever. It's like, you don't have to like start your ultimate fantasy project. You know what I mean? Just like find some friends who are doing it and start doing it. You know,
All you got to do is do it.
all you got to do is
advice.
be there. Really,
It's a punk
like,
rock
all you got to
attitude,
do
for
is
sure.
be there, and that goes for shows too.
Just
you know?
do it.
Like,
Even if you suck, it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
yeah, like I don't know. I feel like, I mean, honestly, every show in Burlington, you look out in the audience, and they're half musicians. You know.
Well, you got to go to each other's show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Musicians got to go to each other's
Yep.
show, or else
Yep.
you don't have a music scene.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, if you're trying to like meet people in the scene and stuff, and like, you know, like you want to like become part of like a group and a community, like they're out there, you know.
100%, man. You just gotta
be there.
ask and be there. Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, shout out to all the people who show up to the shows.
Yeah,
They're on point,
big
man.
time.
That's it. There's, every now and then I'll be at a show with like 4 other people. Like, we're here.
Yeah.
You guys
totally.
make it happen.
Troopers,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys make it happen, because, you know, it doesn't matter if you're playing for 4 people or 400. You should put your all into it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I will say
those people came out and they're supporting you. You know what I'm saying? So give them a show. Even if there's not a lot of people, you don't have to be bummed about that.
Yeah.
Give those people something to fucking be stoked on.
Yeah.
Yep.
The difference between 1 and 100 people at your show is much less than the difference between 0 and 1 person at
Yes.
your show.
I'll play for 0 people all day, and I'll still play the same as if I'm playing for 100 people. You know, it's just another practice for the next one.
Right, exactly.
But-
Well, that's it. When you love playing music,
Yeah.
Sure.
who cares? Really?
Yeah, we're just
Always
doing
grateful,
what we
though.
do, you know.
Always grateful for people, even if it's 1, 2, 3, 4 people, whatever. We're stoked that people come out.
Right, right, definitely.
But yeah, man, being a musician in the scene, gotta go to other people's shows.
It's such a cool world. This little community is insane, because I should add up how many bands I've actually talked to and different musicians, because
Yeah,
everybody plays such different music.
totally.
But it's like such a weirdly healthy scene.
Sure.
In all aspects. I've not really met anyone who's like, I can't find anyone who likes
Totally.
X music. Like,
You'd be
they're-
hard pressed in Burlington.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Because, like, I know
Someone
there's
out there
so
for
many DJs, there's so many, like, EDM people, there's a lot of, like, hip-hop stuff. I need to get some hip-hop people on my show. I need to wedge
Yeah,
myself
absolutely.
into that scene in
can help you out.
Burlington.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll start with Toby.
Right, no,
There's
there's
some great producers and MCs in town.
Javi.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, yeah,
Shout out to
absolutely.
Javi.
Some great engineers as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's
Yep.
so many cool little audio studio places
Oh, yeah.
around town
Young
that are
Ohm.
I'm always a little like shocked.
There's a lot of studios around here.
I'm so shocked because
There's a lot of
every
studios
time
around
they'll
here. I'm
just be like,
shocked too,
"This is a
dude.
different one that I've never heard of, and
wild.
they've existed for 12 years." And I'm like, "Okay, like,
People
I
are pretty low key about it.
They really are, but they survive. Like that.
Yeah.
That blows my mind,
Yeah.
but not really because that's it. The music scene is just so thriving.
Right.
That
No,
There's a
I'm
lot of
100% in the
private
same boat.
studios for sure.
It's impressive.
There are a surprising number operating commercially as well.
Yeah.
It's impressive, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, speaking of OnlyBands Records, which is the funniest name, when I saw the Evil Bong post, because I think you shared the single like a while back, and I was like, okay, well, when the podcast is like a thing again, because I took a hiatus like I like to do.
Oh, okay.
We needed to reach out to each other, but OnlyBands was like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Okay, like this is funny. So tell me about this. When officially did it start? And obviously this has been in the making for a long time.
Sure.
So share what you will of the backstory.
So I basically I worked as a recording engineer for about a decade. And most of my clients were jam bands or singer-songwriters. And like there was some amazing stuff that I recorded. Shout out to the Swimmer guys. I got to work with a band called Moon Hooch. A lot of really fun stuff. I did some bluegrass with your boy Ben Slotnick. All sorts of stuff. But really what the music that I love is heavy music. Kind of always has been. I got really into sludge and doom and stoner stuff in high school, really. And never really thought. So I was mostly a keyboard player. I played in keyboards in a band called Gnome Dad for a while, local band. And I played guitar since I was like 12, maybe. But I just when I was in high school, I tried to tune my guitar down and stuff, and I was like, now it plays like shit, and it doesn't sound any good through my my Fender amp, you know what I mean? And I just thought I don't even know where to start,
Right.
And then a few years back, I was in between projects, and I was like, I'm gonna I've always wanted to get good at guitar, and I was like, you know what? I'm setting my guitar up in B standard. And well, actually, I set it up in C standard first, and then I wanted to drop it a little more.
Right.
So I did.
You gotta get used to the floppy strings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. But.
Well, so it goes back.
Oh, OnlyBands. Yeah.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier about putting out the band's wanted thing, right? Basically, I don't know if Tim mentioned this, but the main people that have the budget for this sort of thing are jam bands, right? So he wanted to get something else that maybe they couldn't afford the recording session, but that's he felt that that's no reason for the art to go unnoticed and to just get buried in the history books. So he's looking at it more of like a chronicling situation.
Exactly. There's a word recordist, right? Is someone who records. Right. We say a lot of the time now recording engineer, but the kind of more, I guess, archaic word is recordist. And I always think about the word record, right? We're making a record of something. And we're making a record of a sound that's happening, right? Music is kind of a unique art form in that way.
Right, at that moment.
Exactly.
This exact moment
exactly.
in
This
time.
is what's happening in this place right now.
Yes.
Right? And
Yes.
that's what we're capturing. So I always, I like to record even if amps are in ISO or whatever, depending on the project, I record the whole band playing together.
Yeah.
Always,
It's good chemistry.
Yeah,
Right.
because I'm trying to capture the sound of what's happening.
Right,
you know?
and what they actually sound like, because
Sure.
it's god awful
Yeah.
when you go to a band that you heard on the radio and they sound like
Yeah.
Way different.
rap.
Yeah.
Right, because they clearly were all recorded against a click track or something, so it just sounds like incredibly perfect, but they are not perfect when they
Yeah.
play together. Yeah, always a downer. I had to share this little quote about art. Like, you're all good. Art decorates space,
Yes,
but
it does.
music decorates time.
That's a great quote.
Right, and I don't remember
I
who
like
the
that
heck
a lot.
said it originally, but that's
That's
how
exactly
I
what
like
I
the
was
term
saying.
recordist. I'm a recordist as well. I
Yeah.
like that term.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Tim felt that the music scene had more to offer than that, and he wanted to basically he's visionary in that aspect because he wanted Burlington to be recognized for more than what it was, because there's more than just that. And he wanted the world to see that Burlington has a lot more to offer than what they thought. And he basically took down the paywall for that. I mean, obviously, as a record label, because we started it as a legitimate business, there are aspects where the money's going to come in different ways, whatever. But breaking
Yeah,
down
once
the
we
wall
make
for the
money.
recording thing, is a big thing for a lot of heavy bands that don't have the budget to do that sort of thing. And they get a high quality recording out of that. And so naturally, starting this thing became a good wheelhouse for our bands that we were already doing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because it's like, why not?
Right.
May as well. So it's a good house for our stuff since we're already involved in so many projects. It's good marketing, this and that and the other. Well, that's a good way for us to sound good, but then also opens the door for other bands too.
Yeah.
And then the name OnlyBands sort of just kind of like a funny gimmick for publicity, and it's kind of like,
That's great.
I like
I
Tim's
feel like
philosophy.
we maybe should we say what? I guess we don't even have to say. I
think everyone
I think
knows.
everybody knows.
I think Tim's ready for what could happen. Is all I'm gonna, he's ready for what could happen, so he's not worried too much about it. But it's definitely a joke.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's fun because it's like campy, right?
Well,
It gets
that's
people's
it.
attention.
It's legit though.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
We
you
want
could
people
have
to
been
know that,
called
too.
OnlyBands 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It could have nothing to do with
Right.
OnlyBands.
It's
Hey,
catchy.
you said it, not us.
Grabs people's attention, but it's campy, so it's like it's legit, but it's also doesn't take itself too seriously. So we want people
Yeah.
to know that it's like more than just a joke, but also not too much of a because you try to name something this other and it's like you try to take it seriously and then sometimes it flops or like we
Right.
also it's also not 100% a joke either. So it's just kind of like Evil Bong. It's just like half funny but also serious and like quality,
Right. Right. Oh no, it's
Yeah.
very legit.
Right.
So
that's the only band story.
where
Yeah.
is it? Is it in Burlington?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so actually, I had a studio on Main Street that I had for 4 years, and I moved out of there at the end of August. So now I am working out of the Tank recording studio,
Okay.
which is here in the North End, run by Ben Collette, who's great.
Such a dope studio, man.
Yeah, it's a really incredible space, great people over there.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm working out of there now.
Okay, so I have interviewed different people in the recording space, and I honestly get a little confused on where we draw lines in these things. So, my friend Tristan, who is in Valerie Falls, he records, but he is not an audio engineer. He does not do the finishing, whatever, the mastering.
Yeah,
he doesn't
sure.
do the end, but he only does the beginning bit.
Right. And that's perfectly cool
Right,
too.
and he's producing, but I don't understand, like, when is the line drawn where you just do everything? Is there a magical umbrella term that I need to learn?
There are
a good question.
There are 3 steps to I typically think 3 steps to the record making process. And there are different roles that need to be filled in each step. Right. The first one is the recording. The second one is the mixing. And finally, you have the mastering. So the recording, pretty self-explanatory. That's when you record all the individual instruments, right? And you multi-track. So I might have up to even 20 mics on a drum kit, right? Depending on the size of the drum kit, maybe more. But, and I'll have each one of those recorded individually, right? So that's the recording engineer's job. And that's a lot about working with a producer whose job it is to listen to the quality of the take that's being done, right? The engineer, the recording engineer, is there to listen to the quality of the sound being recorded. The producer is there to listen to the quality of the music being recorded. All right, and I
know it's a little lofty. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it does. See, I know the little pieces of this, but I've been out of it for 20
Right.
years
Yeah.
or whatever, where
Sure.
the specifics. That's helpful.
yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So then, the
Right.
mixing, you take all of those individual tracks and you mix them all together down to what we call a 2-track or a left-right,
Right.
which is just a single audio file, right? Like you would play on your speakers rather than having individual audio files. Then that goes to mastering. And in mastering, you're really just putting a final polish on it and
Okay.
getting
so
levels
they're not
ready
dealing
for
with
release.
tracks. That's okay. I
Exactly.
think that's the thing that I've been like, where is the line? But
Well, oftentimes something that what people can do as well is take the recording on their own. Like, say they have their own mics and their own way to take their sound. They can then take those tracks and send them off somewhere. So let's say Tristan, for instance, records himself. He can email that to Tim, and then Tim can take over and do the other stuff.
Right.
That's
Right.
half the time how it goes down too. Like if it's
Right.
someone that's not doing everything themselves,
I should
oftentimes to
clarify.
save money, they can record it, send it off, and
Yeah.
then the people will finish it and then send it back.
right.
For
Right.
money.
So Tristan does the first 2 steps. I
Right.
think he breaks it down to the single audio
Right.
left right track. I
Sure.
should give him a shout out, Sky Audio in
you go.
Richmond.
Yeah,
That's it, you
Valerie Falls
record-
is great.
Yeah, and he's been recording a lot of people
There you
in
go.
his basement studio, and it's
That's
awesome.
great.
And then you send it
great.
off.
Right, and he sends it off, and that's it. That's where the line I've been like, what's the difference? Because he's been sending some of his tracks. I won't speak for him. I don't know all of his tracks. But a lot of the musicians have been sending the tracks to Robot Dog for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
final
That's
master.
Yeah,
very
Ryan.
common
Shout out
thing.
to
I've done
Ryan
that.
Cohen.
Right. And I just wasn't
He's building his
quite
own studio
sure.
right now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, which
Ryan's
I've
great.
been watching his bathroom remodel video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was-
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that just like something off of like the Home Network? That was
Yeah.
really cool.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. No, Ryan has done such
Super cool.
great things for this community.
Yeah, it's a
you know?
very common thing for people to send Ryan their already recorded stuff, and then he juices them up and then sends it back, and
Yeah.
there you go. You're ready for a release.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very helpful because that's it. There's a lot of steps to this, and like
It
you
is
can
crazy.
be just a producer. You can
Yeah.
just do the recording. You can
yeah.
just do the mastering. You can do
People make a living off it.
right.
Yeah.
It's very complicated and shifting, and that's it. It's not
Yeah.
what it used to be because
Oh, definitely.
back
always
in the
evolving.
when it was just they do everything, and then it became the producer goes with them, and then it became and it gets a little confusing. It's
Oh,
nice
it
to
does.
hear the explanation
Yeah.
and have it recorded for people.
Yeah. Well, and anymore, like I am pretty much always the engineer and the producer for a recording session. And that can be really tricky, especially if things are in ISO. If I'm in the room with the band, I can kind of force myself to be producer by I take my headphones off. I'm not
Right.
listening to the sound on the mics at all. If something goes wrong on the mics, I don't hear it. And that's not so good. But at least I'm now forced to listen to the quality of the take so we don't get to the end of a song and they say, "So how was that?" I say, "Well, it sounded really good,
Right.
but I don't know how you played,"
Right. Yeah,
and
that's an interesting differentiation.
Yeah.
It's very true though, because that's it. You can get a beautiful recording of a horrible song.
Yeah.
Like they could have
It
played
does happen.
terribly,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
like
it
really
does happen.
awkward or stiff or whatever, and they'll all go, "Oh, that felt horrible." But did it
Yeah.
sound good?
Well, so I would say, a piece of advice to bands that are going into the studio to work with an engineer without a producer is find a friend. They don't have to be a musician, but find somebody who you think has after you play a good show, they're like, "Hey, that was a really good one." Find that friend and say, "Hey, you want to just come and produce?" And just sit there with the headphones on and say, yeah, that was a really good one. That's a huge weight off your
Right.
engineer, because so much of the time we have to fill both those roles, and it's really challenging.
Right, because you don't know what they
Yeah.
sound like. That's
Yeah.
really interesting to think about, and it doesn't have to be too over the top. I think the term producer scares people. It kind of scares
definitely.
me. I immediately think of a douchebag in a business suit when
Yeah,
I hear the term
absolutely.
producer. And my friend's like, I'm the producer. And I
Yeah,
was like,
not anymore.
wait, what?
It's more chill now.
Yeah.
It's not so much of a big record industry now, it's not like CBS executives and, shit like that. But like, definitely one point in time that could have been a scary thing. I could see. But it's not like that anymore.
We're living post Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's really, really cool. I'm very excited for you guys. So tell me again, you had mentioned a couple of the bands that you're also involved in OnlyBands Records.
So the bands that we are in are Evil Bong and Lungbuster, right? They were in a band, Sudden Unknown Signal, but that's kind of on like one of those pauses right now,
Things are
hibernation.
up in the air. Our sound is changing a little bit, and we're figuring some stuff out in the studio, especially over the winter.
But in terms of starting the label with the bands we were in, that's so that you can include Evil Bong, Lungbuster, and we'll call that Sus. Those are the bands that we're like performing in. Now we've brought in our friends to be involved in it, which we're not in, but that would be Hobo Wizard. We're recording Shartarum.
Yep, this weekend.
So that's coming up as well.
Finishing the record, yep.
And then we've also got, next year, Slugweed is going to do a record with us as well.
Yep.
I like the name Slugweed.
Right,
That's excellent.
He's
Is
dope.
that also the second band,
Chartarum.
Chartarum? Is that local?
Yep, Addison County.
Yeah.
Nice,
they're,
cool.
They're
So
based
they're
around
Vermont.
Addison County.
Solid.
Really good.
So good.
One of
Very
those
heavy.
bands, hard to kind of put in a genre, but I would say, kind
They're
of,
heavy as fuck.
yeah, technical stoner sludge stuff.
Yeah, they could do a little
It's
bit of
awesome.
death. They can do a little bit of sludge, a little bit of doom. A little bit melodic, a little bit of chug. They can kind of shape shift to what the show calls for, who they're playing with.
Yeah, they're like a death sludge band.
Yeah, they're cool.
Death sludge mold band. Yeah.
Black mold is,
is
what their
Chartarum
name
is-
means.
Yeah.
Nice.
Black mold.
Nice.
So I guess that's kind of what they
It's a
sound
great,
like.
great genre.
Oh, they're so good.
Black mold. Yeah, they're
so
nice
good.
guys.
Oh yeah, great
And
guys.
the first session we did with them at the other studio went very well. So we're looking forward to this next session here at the Tank.
Cool.
We also had Erica from Coma Hole
Oh, that's right. Oh, we
on a Lungbuster single
she
guest
came and
appearance.
featured in on that song.
Shout
Coma
out.
Hole's blowing up right now, so we're
Coma
stoked
Hole's
to have them
amazing. Yeah.
with the feature on that. That was fun. White Butterfly is the name of that song.
Yeah.
That she wrote the lyrics for and did the vocals.
Yeah.
And it was kind of one of those things like what we said before. It's like we recorded the instrumentals at the studio and then we sent it to her and she remotely recorded her vocals, which she then sent back to him and then he did. Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. That was me.
He then,
Right, you did the
Right.
trade off.
Yep,
The recording got
exactly.
sent back.
she sent him the vocals and then he, made them sound really nice and put them in with the song. And then boom, there you go.
Cool. Very
And there
cool.
you go. Yeah, so OnlyBands has been fortunate enough to put out a good amount of singles and like a few records already. We've
And Komodo too.
the Komodo record was one of the early ones. We've dipped our toe in the merch game as well. We're going to be doing some more merch, trying to
Yes.
get some shirts and
Is
stuff
this-
out there. Beelzebub. No, this isn't.
That's a
one
great
of us,
hat,
but
though.
I appreciate it.
Great hat.
Shout out to those guys. Good friends of ours from Poland that we've played with here in the States a couple times.
Nice.
On when they were on tour. Beelzebub. Yeah, we're not involved with them on the label, but they're just friends. And
They're so good.
And have cool merch.
Legend.
yeah, they have very cool merch. They're very cool guys. Their music is very stony. So Beelzebub. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to those guys. But I appreciate that you like the hat. I can't say that it's part of something that we've done, but the merch that we do is all made locally here in Burlington by Amalgamated Culture Works.
Okay,
I
cool.
definitely want to
Down
recommend
Pine
them
Street.
down there in 420 Pine Street. Very
that's right.
appropriate.
Yep.
420 Pine Street. How could you not get your stoner merch done
That's awesome.
for 420 Pine Street? And then our stickers get made by VT Heady Labels, which
Oh.
make freaking
Yeah, I
stickers.
saw you did a podcast.
Yeah, I sure did.
Well, you know what's funny? They make the labels for like weed jars
Yeah,
and
yeah,
doob
oh,
tubes
yeah.
and stuff like that, like the pre-roll tubes. But you know what's funny? I was making stickers with that guy before he went into that.
Yep.
Because he's friends with Big John from Riding High. And this is the guy that started Sticky Brand, but he sold Sticky Brand. and he was Sticky Fam for a little while. So he did my stickers and my drum decals.
Nice.
Fast forward to where I order from him again, but now he's VT Heady Labels, and he does all the. So it's just kind of so funny how it's like the stoner band gets the merch from the freaking weed
Right, from the
label
weed guy.
makers, and then the shirts come from the 420 Pine Street. Like, it's crazy.
Very
But
cool,
Amalgamated is cool, and then
I like when you try and pull local. I know it's cheaper to go
man.
through
It's a lot cheaper to go
the
online,
print
but
on demand shops, but the quality is not good.
oh,
for
Amalgamated.
one. And
These
two,
shirts
they're
are
so
incredible.
soft,
keep
man.
the money local. You
Exactly.
give it to your
Right.
buddy. Your buddy spends it at the same restaurant. You know, like
Sure.
just keep it local.
Exactly.
We charge a little bit more per unit, but we do spend a little more to get that higher quality
Quite a lot.
fabric. It's not just freaking the standard Gildan, whatever.
Right.
Like you're spraying a little bit for the nicer quality. People are going to wear it more often. They're going to be more inclined to, purchase it and wear it a lot.
Yep.
Right.
And what they're also going to do is, they're going to be more inclined to spend that extra money if you tell them that it's locally made. Like, hey, this is why it costs this much, because it's soft and it's made locally in Burlington. You know what I mean?
Right.
People fuck with that. So that's why I like to support local, because it's like, you got to keep it local. And it's just like local music, too. Keep it all local.
Right.
They're dope. And then our artist buddy in Indonesia, Jari Tanduk, he does all of our artwork. All the artwork that you see with the crazy pot leaves and the wizards and dude, Jari is the man. I have found this community online of artists that are kind of similar to the musicians in like the DIY sort of way.
Yes.
Like these guys are in a similar way. Like they're just honing in on their craft, trying to make a living, and it's not like corporate.
Yeah, it's the indie
cookie cutter.
Indie
yeah,
everything,
indie,
right?
exactly.
Like,
These guys are just like stoner fans, stoner enthusiasts, and they make cool stuff, and they're trying to get their stuff out there. And their art is like our music, and it goes hand in hand. So I've
the beauty
developed
of the internet,
Yeah.
bringing
dude.
artists together.
Oh, it's like wizards in space with
Right.
goats and pot plants and
The
big
dude
guitar amps.
yeah.
I don't have to tell this guy anything. He just puts art. It's like, oh, art for sale. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
I don't even have to explain it. There it is.
There it is.
The album
Just
art
add
for
your
Evil
logo.
Bong.
Yeah. You know how I've gone bankrupt getting art from these guys because the way that the exchange rate works is financially beneficial for both of us. So it's not terribly expensive for me, and it goes a long way for them.
Yeah.
So Jari Tanduk, Steven Yoyada, and Den Yudi, definitely my 3 top guys in the Indonesia art scene. I got to
Cool.
give them a shout out because image is half the battle, and without that sick artwork, we would not stand out half as much.
Right.
Because people see that purple wizard with the freaking, the Evil Bong cover, they see that and they're hooked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got to give
exactly.
Jari credit for that.
Yep.
This kid
Right.
knows how to draw.
Right. And that's such a hard thing to just like magically get. You can spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars trying to get a specific
I look at that
artist
and
to
I'm
get
like,
it right.
I need
Totally.
that. I saw that
Right.
artwork. I was like, that is
yeah.
Evil Bong. That has Evil
Yeah.
Bong written all over it.
Right,
You know? Like
right.
he does our logos.
And that's so
everything.
funny that they just make it because they like
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah, early on
perfect.
in Evil
It's
Bong
so
days,
sick.
Raph sent me like 5, 6 artists maybe, and was like, "Yeah, check out these and see what you connect with." And immediately, like Jari, I was like, "This is it."
He
man.
stands out.
Like this
He
is
stands out.
it.
His
This
prices
is the
are so
look.
good.
You know. Yeah, and he's a great dude. We sent him some shirts, and
Nice.
he sent us a picture of him with the shirts.
Yeah, we sent him
Yeah.
out to Indonesia,
Yep, perfect.
and he was
Yeah.
stoked.
I'm
Yep.
sure. Well, apparently he's all about this vibe.
Oh yeah,
He
definitely.
is, man. His prices
Definitely.
are good too, so I got to give him love for that. I always give credit where credit is due. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
Right.
if we're digging in, we got to dig in right.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
No, and it is interesting because the corporate world loves to use people in other countries as hard as they possibly
Yeah.
can, right? They want to pay them pennies because they can get away with it.
Yeah. Right.
It's so funny though. You connect with them directly, and you're like, $50, and they're like, "Oh yeah, $50."
And it
'Cause, like,
totally works.
that
Yeah.
direct
Yeah.
exchange where you cut out the
Totally.
middleman and it's
Friends and family on
independent.
PayPal.
Yeah.
Right. It's so simple.
That's how you do it.
And that's it. Wouldn't the world be such a healthier economic place if that's how we did everything?
Yeah.
Like, I need some clothes. your clothes are dope. I want your clothes. And then the actual exchange would be direct to them.
Right?
And
Yeah, right.
they'd probably be happy with a lot less than you're paying
Yeah.
whatever freaking Abercrombie
Yeah.
or whatever brand you're
happens.
buying.
I think it's one of the great things about the stoner
100%.
metal world is like
100%.
online. There, like nobody cares about the stoner metal, so there's no bots or like anything. Like we were talking a little bit about this
It's not
before we
infested.
started recording, but yeah. It's like you like I've found you can actually. It's very rare to find an online community where you can actually make connections like this. You
Right.
know,
The Doom scene is a very globally involved thing, and everyone is such a dope part of it.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a good attitude about it.
yeah, it's
And
the healthiest
very
like
friendly.
music scene I've ever been a part of. For
I
sure.
love being a metalhead.
Yeah.
You know, I have a very punk rock attitude about how I go about things. You know, punk at my core and in my attitude, but metalhead all the way, though. You know what I'm saying? I definitely love being a part of the metalhead global community.
Yeah, there's a lot of love in the metal community.
That's
It's really weird because
dope.
people have such weird attitudes about if they don't go to heavier shows.
Yeah.
They have attitude about it, but I've gone to heavier shows forever, and the nicest people, the nicest shows are always the metal shows.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, those people are so nice. No one's gonna friggin' elbow you in the neck to get in front of you.
No,
I have
no.
been elbowed in the face at rap shows before by, like, dudes who are just like, nope, I'm standing here now. I'm like, fuck
Too
these
rough.
people. That's
Yeah,
it. It's so
too
funny.
rough.
Like, no one's ever like that at a metal show, but people think,
Because of the type
oh,
of
you're
music.
going to get punched in the face at the metal show. It's like, no, you're more likely to get punched in the face at some dumb hip hop show because the fans are assholes.
Sometimes they get a little turnt. Yeah.
Right. But that's it. Metal shows, everyone's
Well,
always
you
been
know.
chill. But, like, get knocked on your ass. 6 people will pick you up at the metal show.
That's damn right.
Yeah, I can't say that about every show I've ever been to. There's definitely been some weird vibes in the crowd.
Oh, sure. I was in like the rave scene back, you know, late 2000s, early 2010s through then, down in Philadelphia. And, you know, a lot of drugs, you know, a lot of, you know, not the greatest, male, behavior,
Sure.
you know,
A little problematic.
yeah, and you know, obviously it happens, you know, across all scenes or whatever. But I will say, the metal scene is the friendliest and
100%.
most safe feeling.
100%, man.
At
There's a
least
huge community vibe to it.
Yeah, definitely. It really, yeah, that's really what it is. It really feels like a community.
Sure. People look
In a
out for each
way
other. man.
that I haven't really seen before.
People
Right.
look out for each other, and Burlington especially does a really good job of making problematic people known. They're like, hey, don't let this guy into the show. Not that we've had to deal with that for a while, but there's been times in the past where they've done a good job at like keeping problematic people out of the shows that don't need to be there with justifiable cause.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you know what you're dealing with, of
Right,
course, and you don't
right.
want to just listen to the first thing, right? But with justifiable evidence, you know, certain people aren't allowed in. And Burlington is really good about filtering out the assholes. And then eventually they just end up fucking off, and then you never see them again.
Right.
And then they move on and try it again somewhere else, and then they probably get kicked out of that town.
Right.
But the community here in Burlington, and not just exclusive to the metal music, the community and the music scene as a whole is very, you know, they're very good about that. And they're very good about protecting their own and nourishing new. You know, another thing that's really good about the Burlington community as far as the music goes, people are very open-minded. You know, no matter what the sound is, even if the performance wasn't super great or whatever, people love nurturing new art. Be like, go for it, dude. Like, keep developing your sound. Try again. Start a band. Start a project. You know, don't box yourself into one sound. You don't have to look like this. You don't have to identify as that. Like, Burlington's very nurturing to the new up-and-comers, which I think is very important because, like you said earlier, sometimes shit can be pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, you
definitely.
gotta you just gotta not be afraid to fall down and get back up and try again. And Burlington is very encouraging in that way. So all ties back into what we were talking about, community.
Yeah.
You know, and
absolutely.
we love being a part of the metalhead community. We love being part of the global doom scene. I got to give shouts out, you know, to go back on the subject of the YouTubers. I've had a lot of support from people like Rob Hammer, 666 Mr. Doom. They've consistently put out my releases over the years. Lungbuster, Komodo, Evil Bong. They'll put out that stuff, and that helps widen the audience to a more global way. Now we're getting hundreds and even thousands of views on our shit in places that we've never been.
Right.
You know, I've got people from Europe hitting me up and this and that, and people are buying the stuff on Bandcamp, and then they're leaving comments in languages that we don't even know and shit. And like, that all ties into the community as well. So we got a lot of love for the YouTubers that help spread the word, and they're not monetizing, so that all the money goes to the bands and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So community and music, hand in hand, baby.
Yep.
Hand in hand. You gotta have it.
Yeah. And Burlington is a very special place if you want to come make music. If you just want to come be weird.
Yeah.
People
They let the
people
freak
are
flag
fine
fly.
with it.
That's
Yeah,
for sure.
That's it. You don't have to do anything special. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
They
they
will
let that
embrace
freak
you.
flag fly. It's okay to be weird.
Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything. We're at an hour and 2 minutes.
That's
Wow.
awesome, dude.
So-
Yeah, that's great.
Any last things that you guys would like to share before I give my little spiel at the end? If you
go
have any
ahead, Tim.
links
I'll
that
do
you
the,
want to...
Yeah, I'll do the plugs if you want to go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, you do the plugs. I'll just say, you know, for anybody who you know has always wanted to go to a metal show, or you know, even if you've never thought about it, but you're like, I wonder what that would be like. You know, come on out. It's a friendly group, super welcoming, new faces. You know, don't feel like you gotta look or act any kind of way. You
Yeah,
know,
just be yourself.
I'm gonna be there in sweatpants and a t-shirt. You know.
I've met a lot of cool people at shows, man.
Oh yeah,
A lot of cool people. Made a lot of lasting friendships at shows.
absolutely.
You know? I will say, if you want to check us out, feel free to check us out on all the major streaming platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, Bandcamp. All you got to do is type in Evil Bong. You can find us on Facebook under Evil Bong Band, as well as Instagram, Evil Bong Band. Right, because of the movies, we have to specify that. When you're looking for the Evil Bong music, be sure to look out for that wizard that's got the purple cloak and the bong and the weed plants. That's how you know it's us. We're waiting for that sweet cease and desist from the movie studio, but they haven't fucked with us yet. So when you're looking for Evil Bong, check out that purple wizard. Check out Lungbuster 420 on all the stuff. Lungbuster420.bandcamp.com. You can also find it on YouTube.
Also, Mr. Charles Band, rather than the cease and desist, I'm trying to collab. If you're trying to,
yes.
just say.
Oh, we would love the collaboration with the movie franchise.
Oh my
No
God.
doubt. OnlyBands, you can find us. OnlyBands Rex. We're on YouTube. We are on Instagram, Facebook. Definitely follow OnlyBands. And yeah, I think that's about it. Evil Bong, Lungbuster, OnlyBands.
Cool.
Look it up. Check
Cool.
it out.
I'm super excited about all three of these things. Okay, all right. So today is Wednesday, the 11th of December in 2024. This is episode 50. This was recorded in Burlington. Raph, Tim, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been
you.
very fun. I enjoy talking with both of you.
We're stoked to be here.
This
Thanks.
was great. This was great.
Have a great day, everybody, and thank you for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the end of the show. Subscribe to Vermont Talks on your favorite podcasting platform. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all over the web. Contact Becca at vermonttalks.com if you'd like to be interviewed or if you know someone who should be. Thanks so much to Jason Baker for creating the show music. The views and opinions expressed by the guests are those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Vermont Talks. Any content or statements provided by our guests are of their opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. And that's what was new in the 802. Have a great day.